So I'm Alex Newman, I'm a front-end developer at Gaming, and today I'm going to talk about grouping your workflow with Gulp. You can find us on any of these links, all of which are different spells of my name, just to confuse you all. So yeah, today I'm going to go over why you should use Gulp, the Gulp API, Gulp is Grunt, the power of Gulp, the future of Gulp, and a few gotchas, and more questions to hear. So a few quick facts about Gulp. Gulp gets around 44,000 downloads a day, which is around 1 million a month, and has recently surpassed Grunt in terms of monthly downloads, which is pretty good news for the Gulp community, because hopefully means that we'll have more contributors to the source code and new plugins. It's not just for single developers, it can be used by small teams and large organizations, a few of which they use them are Gaming, Google, Netflix, and SoundCloud. So it uses Node.js, so if you're familiar with that, then you're going to find this really easy. And if not, it's pretty easy to adapt to. And it's also open source, so anyone in this room can contribute to it or create their own plugin. So why do we need another task runner? Gulp aims to be simple for users. Gulp plugins should do one thing well, instead of providing a lot of plugins in one, and a lot of bloat like what Johnny touched upon. And it can work with existing Node modules, which means that you don't actually need Gulp plugins for a lot of stuff. You can use Node modules like Browserify and Del instead of using a Gulp product. And Grunt was great, and it still is, especially if you don't currently use any task runners. But as more people use it, more people notice a few things wrong, mainly with speed and complexity when dealing with a great world. So why should you use Gulp? This one's mainly preference, but code over config. I personally find it a lot nicer to work with small lines of code than a massive JSON object. So I've got an example here, which is pretty much the example that Johnny used for SAS. I've got that Gulp file on the left and Grunt file on the right. We'll have a total of 15 lines for Gulp and 35 for Grunt. And of that, only 7 lines are code in Gulp and 24 in Grunt. So as I'm sure you can imagine, the more and more plugins you add, the more out of hand that one on the right is going to get. And it's just going to get a bit of a nightmare to find stuff. So that's a really minimal API, and by that I mean it has 4 methods that you need to know to essentially be a Gulp expert, which I'm going to touch upon later. It uses streams, which is where most of Gulp's speed comes from. So what are streams? I got this quote from Tim Caswell from howdoknow.org, which says, if you dig a trench on the hill and fill up the high end using a water hose, the water will run down the hill along the trench, which is literally the definition of a stream. So you shouldn't think of anything other than that. So streams use pipes, which allow us to pass data through the stream. For example, pipe SAS, pipe any pipe. No all Gulp plugins use pipes. You shouldn't be intimidated by this. Once you get the hang of it, it's really easy, you know what it means, and even still you can work around it pretty comfortably. So what's a pipe? Like a stream, it is literally like a pipe. So we're taking our main.scss file here. It passes that through the first pipe where we're on our SAS function. It then takes all the data from there and then minifies it. Takes the data from that pipe and finally outputs it in the main.css. So this is from Eric Schaffel's description of Gulp. He made this little diagram of how Gulp deals with it. As you can see, we use Gulp SRC to read and write the files, and then what we'll do is we'll modify it with 3 pipes, and finally write it and send it to the file system. When you look at how Grunt does it, you get this. So Grunt takes an input, reads it, modifies it, writes it to a temp folder, reads it again, and does that 3 times. As you can see, the one on the top is a lot cleaner to understand, and it does a lot of stuff that Grunt does a lot of stuff that's pretty unnecessary. So it also runs with maximum concurrency, which is where the rest of the speed comes from Gulp. So what's maximum concurrency? It runs tasks together using orchestrated.js, and you can minify it with stuff like your JS and CSS at the same time. You shouldn't have to wait for your JS tasks to finish building before starting your CSS tasks, because they've got no dependencies. It's really fast. So if you have 5 1-second tasks, it's going to take 1 second to do all those tasks. Whereas with something like Grunt, it's going to take 5 seconds, because it has to wait for one before it finish. So to summarize, it's really fast, and that's why you should use it. So I'm going to go through the Gulp API now. The first one is Gulp task. So Gulp task, you define a task name, you set any dependency tasks if they're required, and it can run multiple plugins from one task. So here we've got an example. We'll set up a task name as HTML min and set a dependency of SAS. So when we run Gulp HTML in our command line, it's going to find out that SAS is a dependency and start that task. And once that task finishes, it's going to start the HTML min task. And this is what your command line output will be like. So that's Gulp task. Next is Gulp SRC, or Gulp source. So this is where you specify the file to be processed. It can be a string or an array of files. And you can also change the base of the file, which I'm going to touch upon in a couple of slides. And accept blobs, which means you can do asterisk, double asterisk, and look for any folder or file in a certain directory. Here's a small example of a really basic SRC using a string. So we get this one. This is using glob and an array. What we'll look for is we'll look for any PNG image that begins with roll underscore inside any folder inside the images folder. We'll also look for any PNG inside the icons folder. You'll also notice that we'll return the Gulp source. And what this does is when the task finishes, the file gets returned, which means Gulp knows that the task is finished, which means it can run any dependency tasks. It basically means all the tasks are asynchronous. So next up is Gulp test. This is where the process file from Gulp source should be saved. It can be used with source to base option. So if we take a regular Gulp source file here and set our destination to be /disk, our output will be disk/main.css. And what this does is it takes the file name from Gulp source and appends it to the end of the destination. But if we have two main.scss files in the SCS directory, then we're obviously going to get a lot of overwriting on the same file, which is when we change our base. So for example here, we change our base to be SCSS, and what that'll do is it'll take the file path after SCSS and append it to the destination. So our output is now disk/header/main. So finally we've got Gulp Watch, which is probably the most powerful one. As Jonathan mentioned, it comes out of the box with Gulp. You don't need to install any extra plugins. So it watches files and runs tasks whenever files change. Like source, it accepts blobs, which means you can look for any JS file in any directory, whatever you want. Here's a small example. We look for any JS file, and what this will do is whenever it changes, it'll run the JS task. And here's another one, where we say look for any image file that ends in either PNG or JPEG, and when it changes, run the image main task. And that's it. That's all you need to know for Gulp. So next up is Gulp and Run, and if there's any Simpsons fans, I hope you get that. So Gulp versus Grunt. I haven't really used Grunt much, apart from a couple of projects, so this is probably massively biased, but Gulp uses streams, which makes it really fast. It's really easy to maintain. As I showed the example before, we got minification, auto prefix, and SAS done in 7 lines of code versus Grunt's 24. It's really fast, and that's because it runs maximum concurrency and uses streams. And it's really fast growing as well. As I said earlier, it's surpassed Grunt in terms of monthly downloads, and the plugin library is growing as well. So, a couple of negatives with Grunt: everything has to run in order. It's worth noting that you can actually install a plugin and run tasks concurrently like Gulp, but it still won't get all its speed from streams like Gulp does. It's difficult to maintain. The more you add to it, the harder it is to maintain. You end up getting, for a regular production task, you get like 200 or 300 lines of Grunt. It's slower, and by slower I mean it's slower than Gulp, but it's definitely not slower than doing nothing at all. So if you're coming from like a mainly CSS and design background, Grunt would be great for you because it's going to speed up your process and you don't necessarily have to tackle JavaScript. It writes in temp files, which is why it's slow. As I showed in the diagram earlier, everything it does, it writes in a temp file for that. But it did pave the way. It was the first task runner, and because of that we got Gulp and properly out of it. And it currently has more plugins. Now this isn't necessarily a bonus. So as of right now, Grunt has 4,848 plugins versus Gulp's 1,532. However, Gulp only lists them plugins. Gulp have a pretty good, strict system where they want to limit the ecosystem. They don't want to have any plugins that shouldn't be there. Basically, they don't want to have a plugin that does what a no plugin can do. So they do a thing called blacklisting, where they hide off the site. There's also a plugin called Gulp Grunt, where you can run any Grunt plugin from within a Gulp task, and as I said earlier, you can run any node task. So really, you've got about 6,000 plugins that you can use. So task runners are big here. A little background is we use a lot of themes, so across like slots, bingo, and our websites, we'll have something like 30, 40 files per theme. And with Grunt, we have to specify each file, which means if we ever added or deleted a file, we have to delete it from the config. We switched to Gulp in August 2014, and build times are almost twice as fast with twice as many files to process when we changed to Gulp. We can now use arrays instead of specifying each file, which means that if we ever write a new file with theme, it's just going to pick it up anyway. And we've got Gulp in our continuous integration for build tasks. So I'm going to go on the power of Gulp now. Gulp can run a lot of tasks and processes fast and easily. And again, as I mentioned, it uses streams and runs concurrently. You can do HTML modification, CSS modification, JSON, literally anything. If you want to find out how fast your site is according to Google page insights, you can do that. And you can also use plugins without plugins as well. And what I mean by that is this. We have here a large Gulp file with 15 Gulp plugins. And that looks a bit messy being a topic file. It also means that if you ever need to add a new plugin, you've got to add the reference at the top. And if you remove one, you should probably remove it from the top as well, just to keep it clean. But there's a plugin called Gulp Plugins, which allows you just to do this. And then you can reference any plugin by just calling $.plugin name or plugins.$name, whatever you do. So this is a pretty complex SAS task. It might be a bit over the top, but it's just showing you what it does. So I initiate some source maps, I show a notification if I get any errors, that will just show up at the top right of your screen. I minify and load a prefix, and then I set up live reload. I also use uncss, which as you see has a dependency of SAS. And what that'll do is that'll take my index HTML file and my CSS file and delete any CSS that isn't on the page, which is great for performance, especially if you're trying to get into those 1 second pages. And finally, inline source. That'll take any SAS file in the inline directory, strip it out of the CSS file, and put it in an inline style tag, which is great for critical content because you don't have to rely on any render blocking CSS. So the future of Gulp version 4 is in the pipeline. You can run functions as tasks. So tasks shouldn't be used for the CLI. You shouldn't be running tasks from within other tasks like you do in Gulp 3. You can run regular functions as tasks, and it must be asynchronous. So they're moving away from string lookup. There's a lot of debate about it right now as 4 is still being built, but the main argument is for speed. So this is what we'll do now. We'll say Gulp task clean, and then it'll look for a function called clean and run that, as opposed to what we'll do right now, which is this. So there's another one called since and last run, which are probably one of the better upgrades version 4. So it's a new option for Gulp SRC, and it runs a task if the file has changed since the last time a certain task was run. And it removes the need for change plugins. And by that I mean there's a lot of plugins like Gulp Change, Gulp Queue, and Gulp Cache, which will only run tasks if the file has changed. But this is now native. So for example here, we specify any JS file, and we say since Gulp last ran the scripts task. And what that'll do is it'll only continue the task if that file has changed since the last time the script had run. That's basically just good for performance. If you save a file 4 times right now with no changes, it's going to compile the file 4 times. With this, it's only going to do it once until it changes. So we've got Gulp tree. This one's quite a small one, but it's quite good for local development. So it shows the dependencies of any task. For example here, we have Gulp task build, which has a dependency of uncss and image remove. But if I want to find out what uncss and image remove depend on, I'm going to have to look through all my files and find those relevant tasks. I just specify Gulp tree and it'll output an array of every dependency. So that's saying, if you run Gulp task build, it's going to run all of those tasks. So next is Gulp parallel and Gulp series. There are new ways of defining dependencies, asynchronous tasks, and synchronous tasks. For example here, we set up a default task and then pass in Gulp parallel styles and scripts. And what this means is it's going to run the styles task and scripts tag at exactly the same time. Similarly, we can do, here we've got a build task, and we pass in Gulp series. And what this is going to say is run our SAS task, then our prefix task, and then our minify task. So it's got ES6 as well, so if any of you use ES6, which is the new standard of JavaScript, you can do that. You can rename your Gulp file to gulpfile.babel.js, and then you can use this. So we use imports, constants, and arrow functions. This is just preference, you don't need to do this, but if you work with ES6 regularly, it's probably a pretty good thing to do. Finally, we've got error handling. So I'm going to go and talk about gotchas in the next slide, and one of them is error handling. Gulp's pretty bad at error handling right now. So currently errors break the stream and they cancel the current task. So if you're doing a Gulp watch and then had a syntax error in your SAS file, it's going to cancel the watch task, and you're not going to know unless you've got your command line open. But right now you can use a plugin called Plumber, and what that'll do is literally unblock the stream. So if you get an error, it'll just continue with it and just notify you about the error. But in Gulp version 4.1, this is going to be native. There's going to be 3 options you can have. You can have the default, which is that it's going to break the stream and cancel the task. Or you can have it so that it throws an error but continues. Or you can have it so it throws an error, continues, and then cancels the task, which is going to remove the need for the plumber. So it can be pretty intimidating, especially with all the talk of pipes and you don't know what they are. I used Gulp for a few months, not knowing what pipes were, and it was just kind of like blank code. But now that I know what they are, I feel a lot more comfortable with it. And it's really easy to rely on Gulp plugins, which might sound a bit weird, but as I mentioned before, you can get a lot of node modules that'll do the same as a Gulp plugin, which means you probably don't even need it. So to summarize, you should use Gulp because it's fast, and I think it's better than Run. It's got a really simple API. It's got 4 methods right now, and in version 4 it'll have 6 or 7. Gulp is better than Run. Gulp's pretty powerful. You can do literally anything you can imagine and really fast. Most tasks run under a second, and large tasks run in about 2. So yeah, there's a few gotchas. So mainly if you're using it right now, you're probably going to have to install the Gulp plumber so that you don't have loads of errors kicking off everywhere. And that's it. So as I said, you can find us on these links before, and on my GitHub I've got this in a repository. So if you want to see any code examples, you can have a look there. And I've also put a few links to articles and resources to get you started. Anyone have any questions? Yeah?
This is really great. Have you encountered a brunch?
What?
Have you encountered that you would brunch?
I've looked at it, but I've never used it.
Yeah. What's
Yeah.
brunch? Just with default, or any incremental compilation by default, so you don't have to come to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what the benefit over something like CodeKit would be.
You can do a lot more. So as far as my CodeKit is like it's your compilers and your library loads and stuff. But with this, you can also use stuff like delete files whenever you run a certain command. You can check your page insights against Google. You can move files around. You can do pretty much anything you can imagine. CodeKit's pretty limited, and you can't hack it as far as I'm aware. Anyone else? Yeah?
You mentioned something about a block test being used. Is that something that Gulp uses, or is it just like an open repository of packages?
What service? What do you use?
Like, for example, does Gulp have an open community where you can post plugins to?
Yes.
Gulp has a block test, so is it curated somewhere?
Yeah, Run's not curated, no. Gulp is, you can still get the modules from NPM, it's just Gulp won't display them on their site. Yeah, both of them open source, both of them have a pretty big community. If you want to plug in, chances are it's on both of them. Yeah?
How's Broccoli get that?
I haven't used it much. As far as I'm aware, it uses arguments in the command line. So whereas I put there Gulp SAS and then minify and put a prefix, Broccoli you would just have your SAS task and then you would pass those parameters in. But again, I haven't really looked at it much. Anyone else?
Cool.